You know, every time Ali fought Joe Frazier in their three fights, he spent 41 rounds killing each other. The first fight, it came close. Second fight, it came closer. But the third fight, the Thrilla in Manila, they literally could have each died because the amount of power punches and accurate blows he struck at each other that night, it almost permanently blind Joe Frazier and basically caused Ali's decline as an athlete and his mental and physical faculties. They both should have quit after this fight, but he went on for a number of years afterwards. Now, Joe Frazier entered the fight as the former world heavyweight champion. He won the title originally from Ali, 71, lost it to George Foreman. Ali bet Foreman for the title in 1974, and just a year later was the third out of a rubber match. Now, the Thrilla Manila, October 1st, 75, was held at the Araneta Coliseum in Cuba, Quezon City, Philippines. The venue was temporarily renamed as the Philippine Coliseum for this match. Now, Ali won by technical knockout after the 14th round, where Frazier's chief second, Eddie Futch, a very compassionate decision, asked the referee to stop the fight because Frazier was pretty well completely blind from the blows and pre-existing conditions. Now, the contest name is derived from Ali's rhyming boast that the fight would be a killer and a thriller and a chiller when I get that gorilla, what do you call Frazier, in Manila. The bout is consistently regarded as one of the best and most brutal fights in boxing history. I have it in the top 10, and was a combination again of the rivalry that Ali eventually won 2-1 with this contest. The fight was viewed by a record global television audience of 1 billion, including 100 million viewers watching the fight on closed circuit. And there was also 500,000 pay-per-view buys on HBO home cable television, which changed the genre for good because it was a continuous stream here. There was no breaks. Now, the first fight between Frazier and Ali, the fight of the century, Frazier knocked down Ali in the 15th round, March 8, 71 at Madison Square Garden. Frazier was totally dominant on the scorecards. Now, this January 74 rematch, neither the champion neither was champion, and Frazier had lost the title to Foreman, while Ali had lost previously split 2 fights with Ken Norton. Now, the 12-rounder went to Ali, who was dominant throughout, and basically was not intimidated by Frazier's smoking style, which is the cross-arm defense and offense at the same time. Now, the president of the Philippines was then the despot Ferdinand Marcos, sought to hold a bout in Metro Manila and sponsor it in order to bring attention to the Philippines from around the world. Now, in the lead-up to the fight, Manila was going to be an international spotlight. How it worked with Ali at the time, he was doing a lot of what he called international bouts. Now, before the match, Ali, who had verbally abused Frazier in the first 2 fights in many ways, started calling him the gorilla and used that as a basis for his rhyme. It was a killer and a thriller and a chiller when I get the gorilla in Manila, which he chanted while punching an action figure-sized gorilla doll in promotional video. Now, Ali told the reporter Dick Schaap that was part of a long-standing pre-fight strategy. He said, "I like to get a man mad because when the man's mad, he wants you so bad he can't think." Now, Ali's preparations were upset before the fight, when he introduced his mistress, or what's considered his second wife, Veronica Porsche, as his wife to Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos. This angered his current wife, Kalia Ali, who saw the introduction on television back in the States and subsequently flew to Manila when she engaged her husband in a prolonged shunning match in his hotel suite. Now, in the Frazier camp, trainer Eddie Futch made a decision that the hordes of people in attention to Steaming Up City were a poor environment to prepare in. Thus, Frazier completed his training in the mountainous outskirts of the city of Manila. There he led a Spartan existence, often sitting for hours in contemplating state in preparation for the bout. Now, Frazier's cornerman Eddie Futch was concerned about preventing Ali from repeating his illegal tactic of holding Frazier by the neck to create extended clinches. And the reason why he did this, Ali was about 5 inches taller. Now, according to Futch's stats, he claimed that Ali had done this 133 times in the second meeting. He had also done so in their first meeting, but without being penalized. Now, Futch had moved to block the alley foreman ref Zach Clayton as referee by enlisting the aid of Philadelphia Mayor Frank Rizzo. The mayor refused to let Clayton have his duties as a Philadelphia civil service employee to go referee for the fight. Now, he advised many people to look at a countryman from to referee the fight, stating this would reflect well on the Philippines, what he talked to Marcos. Now, Futch and Filipino officials who bought in heavily to the idea brushed aside complaints from Don King that a Filipino referee would be too small to handle a heavyweight fight, and of course this resulted in the appointment of talented Filipino ref Carlos Padilla, who went on to great success after, but Carlos was a very fair ref. Now, the alley camp was entering the fight basically with every possibility that whoever would win the fight would have the bastion of the money in the heavyweight division. There was allegations Ali was going to retire for his lose, and Frazier might also retire on top. Now, in order to accommodate the international viewing audience, the fight took place at 10 a.m. local time. Though it served the business interests of the fight, it was detrimental to the fighters. Freddie Pacheco, Ali's physician, said at 10 a.m. the stickiness of the night was still there, but cooked by the sun. So what you got is boiling water for atmosphere. Now, Dennis Menz, who was part of Frazier's contingent, said the conditions inside the aluminum-roofed Philippine Coliseum, it was so hot I've never felt heat like that in my life. There was not a breath of fresh air. Now, according to Frazier, the estimated ring temperature was 120 Fahrenheit or 49 Celsius, including heat from the TV lights. Ali is said to have lost 5 pounds during the fight due to dehydration. Now, when the fighters and the cornermen met to the center of the ring for the referee's instructions, Ali continues verbal assault on Joe, finishing with a taunt, "You don't have it, Joe. You don't have it. I'm going to put you away." In response, Frazier smiled and said, "We'll see." Now, from the start of the fight, Ali was very sharp. Now, Don Dunphy, the incomparable announcer for many title fights, said Ali, with his fast hands and sharp shooting, keeps it in his way, and he dominated the first round. Now, Frazier, who watched the fight for the first time some 31 years later, said about his style he was too far away, and I saw that fight. Ali was scoring too quickly. Now, Ali again was starting to continue to attack his opponent verbally, most notably in the third when he was performing well and plenty of energy. Now, during round 3, Ali began using his famous rope-a-dope, a strategy where he used his rope for support to rest while he's allowing his opponent to expend energy by throwing punches. Now, Frazier started to hit his first good body punches in the third, with Ali pinned in the corner. Now, Ali had the better reach and height, and Frazier needed to be close to Ali to hit him with frequency, and the rope-a-dope, of course, played in his hands. Now, about 2 minutes in a round, Ali threw a succession of hard punches, many of which missed. Commentating for the BBC, Harry Carpenter said, "I don't know what I've seen Ali in a more aggressive move than this. He really looks as if he wants to nail Frazier to the canvas once and for all." Now, the fifth, Frazier had probably his best round in the fight. He was able to avoid the oncoming fist of the champion, and for the first time in the fight, land solid left hooks to his head. Now, in the sixth, Frazier got his fight at a punch in the match. He landed a thunderous left hook, which stunned against the right side of Ali's face. He was knocked back by the force of the blow and landed to the ropes behind him. He did not appear dazed or groggy, but was visually stiff in his body movements while backing away from Frazier. Now, Ali was hit some very heavy blows in this round. Frazier later said, "They were tremendous hooks I was throwing, and you have to understand normal fighters would not have continued. It would have been over," and that's what the problem is. Ali and Frazier were giving each other the best fights, their best hits, and nothing was working. Now, as the bout wore on, it became clear that despite his belief in the ability of the rope-a-dope, when Ali had his back against the ropes, Frazier had the advantage because, unlike Foreman, Frazier could throw with both hands, not like looping punches. Now, Joe was able to wear down his opponent with body punches, left hooks to the head, and occasionally short right hands. Meanwhile, the long-haired arm champion had a difficult time getting much power into his punches while fighting the inside. Now, at the start of round 7, Ali managed to do effectively for about a round and a half. It was able to best Frazier in exhausting toe-to-toe exchanges. Now, during round 8, Ali started a little bit tired and sank against the ropes in neutral corner as Frazier landed a series of punches to his body and head. On the broadcast, Don Dumphy said Frazier may have evened up the round with about 30 seconds to go. Now, the ninth round was very, very tough on both fighters, and at the end of it, a visibly tired Ali went back to his corner and told the trainer, "Man, this is the closest I've ever been to dying." In the opposite corner, Frazier was suffering from pronounced swelling around his face, the result of accumulation of scores of punches exclusively aimed at his head, which was causing swelling and hampering his vision. Now, after our 11th round, which Ali hit most of the key blows, Eddie Futch confronted his charge, asking them what's with this right-hand business. In response, Frazier indicated that he could not see some of the punches he was hit with. At this point, Futch gave him what turned out to be poor advice. He told his fighter to stand more upright when approaching. Ali rather to continue to use a bobbing and weaving style. Ali seized upon it immediately in round 12. With his back to the ropes, he threw many punches with both hands that landed accurately and did still more damage to Frazier's limited eyesight. According to Frazier's problems was his corner. Adding to Frazier's problem was his corner ability to maintain a functional ice bag to apply to his eye past the middle rounds because of the heat in the Philippine Coliseum. Now, as Frazier rose for his stool to contest round 13, he was a combatant who could barely see. Now, British sports writer Frank McGee describes the final rounds. The main turning point of the fight came very late, midway through the 13th, when one or two tremendous right-hand smashes sent the gum shield or the selling out of Frazier's mouth. Now, rules have changed right now. If he gets knocked out, they stop the fight and put it back in. That's what he didn't do. Now, the 13 and 14 round, Frazier was taking the majority of the bad hits. Now, seeing the results of round 14, Futch decided to stop the fight between rounds rather than risk a similar worse fate for Frazier in the 15th. Frazier protested stopping the fight, shouting, "I want a boss," and trying to get Futch to change his mind. Futch replied, "It's all over, no one will ever forget what you did here," and signaled to Padilla to end the bout. Ali would later claim this was closest to dying he had ever been. Unbeknownst to Frazier's corner, at the end of the 14, Ali instructed his cornerman to cut his gloves off, but Dundee ignored him. Now, Ali told his biographer Thomas Hauer, "Frazier quit just before I did. I didn't think I could fight anymore." Now, Padilla scored the fight, and the ringside judges had Ali ahead by a comfortable margin on points, but many of the ringside press had the fight scored much closer. The AP had the fight even after 14 rounds. I didn't. I had it about 8-5 to 1 for Ali. I found Frazier won a few of the middle rounds, but Ali was dominant in a late contest. Now, talking about the HBO showing. Another legacy of this fight was the pioneering use of communication technology. On September 30, 1975, it became the first television network in history to deliver a continuous signal via satellite by broadcasting into Thrilla, Manila. This revolutionary event, linking satellites with cable, turned cable television from a retransmitter to a program provider. Now, in 2008, there was a television documentary produced by Darlow Smithson Productions, aired at HBO, about the Thrilla in Manila. The documentary was met with mixed reviews, with some accusing it for being biased towards Frazier, as most of the people interviewed were from Frazier's camp. Promoter Bob Arum called it disgusting. He said it was designed to demean Ali, and it was filled with inaccuracies and called it an unfair attack on Muhammad Ali. Now, Bob Arum was never a big fan of Joe Frazier. It's like this. George Foreman didn't represent all the black people. Joe Frazier didn't represent all the black people. But Muhammad Ali, even if he didn't represent all the black people, he was favored by the black people. So to beat the king, you got to have a killing blow. A little bit of paper cuts and penknives or paper cuts is not going to do it. Frazier had the chance to knock out Ali in round 15 and 71. And after he knocked Ali down, Ali went on to defense and he couldn't knock him off. I watched this fight. Frazier had, just like Ernie Shavers against Holmes, he only had so many opportunities to knock the champ out. Ali, in spite of himself, he would rather die than lose to Joe Frazier, and that's what he almost did. Now, Joe Frazier obviously and Ali, I think they kind of made up in the last years before Ali's death. You know what he said about the '96 Olympics that Frazier would have known. He said he would have pushed him into the cauldron. But did Joe Frazier really hate Ali or hate what was surrounding Ali? Because Frazier was all about respect. I don't know of any other fighter he fought, including Foreman and Chuvalo and Bonavina, that he would basically be in such attack mode. I think Ali really got to him, and Ali never really apologized for calling a black man a gorilla. Can you imagine? This was 2021. One black man calling another black man an ape in the jungle, or like a gorilla. I mean, come on. But like I said, I like Ali as a fighter, as a person. I've always had difficulty with him, just like Ric Flair in wrestling with a scandal this week. I've had trouble with Joe Frazier as a fighter, but not as a person, because I know Joe was committed to fighting in every way. And like I said, when Ali was making fun of him as a musician, as he's outlining stuff, and at the time he was still heavy into black Muslims too, which gave him an egotistical look at other black people that weren't his type of Muslims. And like the fight against Foreman, he said, "Oh, it's a Muslim versus Muslims for against the Christians." You didn't know when the plugs began or the real promo had started. But if you really want to have a painful day, get the 15 rounds from 71, add the 12 rounds from 74, add the 14 rounds from 75, and let me tell you something. You count the blows, I think it's about 1,500 or 2,000 between them, if not more. So Ali died young because of it. Frazier had some health issues later on, but Ali-Frazier, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. It's like two drug wandos fighting on the streets of Montreal. They're not going to stop fighting because that's all they know. And Frazier was willing to die for one more chance to beat Ali. So, it was, and like I said, boxing now, it's all corporate. It's not life or death like back in the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our Ali podcast, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you love Thrilla Manila, you're one of billions that love that fight. We love both fighters so much, we were willing to watch them both die in the ring for our pleasure. Pretty bizarre, right? Have a good day. Bye.